Back in 1999, audiences were transported to the golden sands of Egypt with a film that perfectly blended horror, humor, and heart-pounding adventure. The Mummy wasn't just another summer blockbuster, it became a cultural phenomenon that spawned sequels, spin-offs, and a devoted fan base that still celebrates its magic today. With ancient curses unleashed, swarming locusts darkening the skies, and a priest's quest for resurrection driving the chaos, the film delivered pure cinematic escapism. Now, as we cruise through 2026, nearly 3 decades have passed since that unforgettable journey began. Let's travel back through time and discover where life has taken the remarkable cast who brought these beloved characters to life. Brendan Fraser stepped into the role of Rick O'Connell at 30 years old, and the world instantly fell in love with his roguish charm and quick wit. He embodied the perfect action hero, cocky enough to be entertaining, vulnerable enough to be relatable, and brave enough to lead us through the supernatural terrors of Hamianaptra. What many don't realize about his performance is just how dangerously real some of those stunts became. During the now iconic hanging scene, something went terribly wrong when the noose tightened far beyond what safety protocols allowed. Fraser was genuinely choked unconscious, his life flashing before his eyes until the stunt team rushed in to cut him down. It was a terrifying moment that could have ended tragically, yet Fraser brushed it aside and continued delivering the swashbuckling performance that defined a generation. Fast forward to 2026, and Brendan Fraser now stands at 57 years old, having orchestrated one of Hollywood's most celebrated comebacks. His transformative role in The Whale earned him critical acclaim and an Academy Award nomination, reminding everyone why he always possessed that undeniable star quality. Rumors continue swirling about his potential return to the Mummy universe, though nothing has materialized yet. On the personal front, Fraser's journey included marriage to Afton Smith from 1998 to 2009, during which they raised 3 sons together. Since 2022, he has found happiness with makeup artist Jean Moore, proving that some stories do get their happy endings. Rachel Weisz brought Evelyn Carnahan to life with such infectious enthusiasm and intelligence that she became an instant role model for young women everywhere. At 29, she captured the perfect blend of bookish awkwardness and fierce determination, creating a heroine who could translate ancient hieroglyphs just as easily as she could fight off Tomb Raiders. The road to landing this iconic role wasn't smooth, however. Studio executives initially pushed for American actresses, convinced that audiences wouldn't connect with a British lead. Weisz auditioned repeatedly, each time proving that her unique energy was exactly what the character needed. She admitted later that horror films typically terrified her, but she recognized The Mummy as something special, a comic book adventure wrapped in Egyptian mythology. Now 55 years old in 2026, Weisz has accumulated an impressive resume that includes an Academy Award for The Constant Gardener and a memorable turn as Melina in Black Widow. Her personal life reads like a Hollywood fairy tale, having married Daniel Craig in 2011. Together they share a daughter, while Weisz also maintains a close relationship with her son from a previous relationship. She continues choosing projects that challenge conventions and celebrate intelligent womanhood. John Hannah slipped effortlessly into the role of Jonathan Carnahan, Evelyn's delightfully roguish brother whose love for treasure and drink provided much of the film's comic relief. At 37, Hannah brought a theatrical flair to the part, delivering lines with such perfect timing that audiences couldn't help but smile whenever he appeared on screen. Interestingly, Hannah never considered himself a comedic actor before this role. He approached the character with complete sincerity, which somehow made the comedy land even harder. Director Stephen Sommers later admitted he couldn't explain why Hannah felt right for Jonathan, it was simply one of those instinctive casting choices that proved genius. In 2026, Hannah is 63 years old and maintains a steady presence in television and film. His dramatic turns in Spartacus and the Titanic series showcase his range beyond comedy, though fans will always treasure his Jonathan. Married to Joanna Roth since 1996, they've built a stable family life with 2 children, far from the chaotic treasure hunts of his most famous character. Arnold Vosloo faced the daunting task of making audiences believe in a 3,000-year-old high priest risen from the dead. At 37, he approached Imhotep not as a monster but as a tragic figure driven by forbidden love. This distinction made all the difference, elevating the villain from simple evil to something far more compelling. Vosloo took his physical preparation seriously, losing 10 to 15 pounds in a remarkably short time to feel comfortable in the revealing costume that showed off those ancient Egyptian tattoos. He viewed the character's journey as a love story first and a horror story second, which informed every line delivery and menacing glare. Now 63 in 2026, Vosloo continues acting steadily, with recent appearances in projects like Silverton Siege proving his enduring talent. He maintains a notably private personal life, having been married and divorced while keeping the focus squarely on his craft rather than Hollywood spotlight. Oded Fehr made his film debut at 28 years old as Ardith Bey, the mysterious Medjay warrior sworn to protect ancient secrets from falling into the wrong hands. His intense presence and striking features made the character unforgettable, even with limited screen time. The original concept for Ardith Bey included facial tattoos covering his entire visage, but once Fehr was cast, the filmmakers wisely reconsidered. DVD commentary reveals they chose to preserve his natural features, allowing his commanding performance to carry the gravitas rather than relying on heavy makeup. This decision paid off tremendously, creating a warrior audiences genuinely cared about. In 2026, Fehr is 55 years old and remains active in television and film, including appearances in the Resident Evil franchise that further cemented his genre credentials. Married to Rhonda Tollefson since 2000, they've raised 3 children together while Fehr continues bringing mystery and honor to every role. Kevin J. O'Connor delivered pure comedic gold as Benny Gabor, the cowardly opportunist who would sell out anyone for survival. At 35, he understood exactly what the film needed, a character audiences love to hate while secretly laughing at his pathetic desperation. O'Connor insisted on wearing authentic sandals instead of practical boots, believing it would add authenticity to his portrayal of a low-level Egyptian criminal. The desert sands quickly taught him the error of this commitment, burning and blistering his feet throughout production. He regretted that choice every single day but never complained, suffering silently for his art. Now 62 in 2026, O'Connor continues working steadily in character roles across film and television, with Benny remaining a fan favorite for his hilarious cowardice and questionable loyalty. Jonathan Hyde brought distinguished British authority to Dr. Alan Chamberlain, the pompous curator whose skepticism leads to his spectacular demise. At 51, Hyde had recently appeared in Titanic playing another scholarly figure, and director Stephen Sommers specifically sought him out for that refined presence. His performance provided perfect contrast to the chaos unfolding around him, making his eventual fate all the more satisfying. In 2026, Hyde is 77 years old and remains active in theater while occasionally appearing in film roles that benefit from his decades of experience. Married to Isabel MacArthur since the 1970s, they've raised a family together while he built one of those careers that define character acting excellence. Eric Avari portrayed Dr. Terence Bey with such calm wisdom that audiences immediately trusted his expertise. At 47, the Indian-born actor adopted a crisp British accent to fit the 1920s Cairo setting, demonstrating the versatility that would define his long career. His character grounded the supernatural elements in something resembling reality, making the fantastic feel almost plausible. In 2026, Avari is 73 years old and continues appearing in television and film, including memorable turns in projects like the Grand Budapest Hotel. His personal life remains private, but his professional legacy includes some of Hollywood's most beloved character work. Patricia Velasquez brought sensuality and danger to Anck-Su-Namun, the pharaoh's concubine whose forbidden love with Imhotep sets the entire curse in motion. At 28, she had already established herself as a top model, but acting required new skills entirely. She trained intensively in ancient Egyptian-style dance specifically for the resurrection scenes, ensuring her movements carried authentic weight rather than mere exoticism. In 2026, Velasquez is 54 years old and divides her time between acting, modeling, and passionate activism for indigenous rights. She has one daughter and focuses considerable energy on celebrating her heritage while continuing to work in entertainment. Omid Jalili injected early comic relief as Warden Gad Hassan, the bumbling prison official whose greed leads to predictable disaster. At 34, the British-Iranian comedian faced visa complications that nearly prevented him from filming in the United States. Once cleared, however, he brought his natural comedic instincts to every scene, creating a character audiences love to mock. In 2026, Jalili is 60 years old and thriving as a comedian, actor, and television host throughout the UK and internationally. Married to Annabelle Knight since 1992, they've raised 3 children while he built a career spanning continents and genres. These remarkable actors came together in the Egyptian desert nearly 3 decades ago to create something truly magical. Their chemistry, dedication, and willingness to embrace both the ridiculous and the sublime resulted in a film that continues finding new audiences today. From near-death experiences on set to Academy Award victories, from quiet family lives to humanitarian activism, each cast member wrote their own unique story after leaving Hamunaptra behind. The curses may have been fictional, but the impact they made on cinema history remains very real indeed.